What does betrayal worth $96 million actually feel like? Not imagined, not exaggerated. Real, because I lived it. My name is Noel Quincy, and the night my family celebrated my replacement, I quietly destroyed everything they thought they owned. It started at a dinner. Crystal glasses, white linen, 22 people smiling like nothing was wrong. My father stood up, raised his glass, and announced the future of our family empire. But it wasn't me. It was my younger brother, who had been back in our lives for exactly 4 weeks. Everything, my father said proudly. The company, the properties, the accounts, $96 million now belongs to Ben. Applause filled the room. My mother smiled like she'd been waiting years for that moment. He deserves it more than you ever did. That line, it didn't hurt, not anymore, because by then I had already finished what they didn't even know had begun. I stood up slowly, walked to the head of the table, and placed 4 things in front of my father: the power of attorney documents, the keys to everything, and 1 sealed envelope. I looked straight at my brother. "Congratulations." Then I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard the envelope tear open, then silence. Then, "You've got to be kidding me." That was the moment everything collapsed. And if you've ever been treated like you were nothing, after giving everything, stay with me. Because this didn't start at that table. It started 5 years earlier, when I chose them over my own life. Back then, I was in Seattle. Senior engineer, 6-figure income, leading an AI team that was about to explode into something massive. My life was moving fast, until 1 phone call ended all of it. 5:47 a.m. a hospital. My father had suffered a catastrophic stroke. By the time I got there, he was already unconscious, machines keeping him alive. 2 days later, my mother was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. In less than a week, my entire world flipped, so I left everything. My job, my apartment, my future. I went back home and stepped into a life no one else was willing to carry. For the next year, I barely slept. Hospital rooms became my home. I learned how to manage feeding tubes, IV lines, medication schedules. I sat through nights where the only sound was machines and the quiet fear that one of them would stop. Then came the decision that changed everything. Because someone had to take control or the state would. So they signed it. Medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, both in my name. That day, I didn't just become their daughter. I became responsible for everything, and I mean everything. The company, 90 employees, millions in contracts, all while pushing my mother to chemotherapy and waiting for my father to wake up. No salary, no recognition, just responsibility and pressure. I taught myself business law at 2 a.m., negotiated contracts during hospital breaks, fought insurance companies who tried to deny my mother's treatment, kept the company alive 1 decision at a time, while everyone else was gone, especially my brother. Ben had disappeared long before any of this. Drugs, arrest, rehab, silence, for years nothing, and still I stayed. I held everything together, piece by piece. Until one morning he came back. It was 7 a.m. I hadn't slept in over a day. I opened the door and there he was, clean, calm, like nothing had ever happened. "I'm back," he said. That was all it took. Within hours, everything changed. My mother cried like she got her son back from war. By the end of the day, the story had already been rewritten. Ben wasn't an addict anymore. He was finding himself. He wasn't missing. He was building connections. Every truth replaced with something easier to accept, and me, I became invisible. Again. The next day, he walked into the company like it was his. Introductions were made, titles were hinted. And just 3 days later, my access was gone. No login, no emails, no meetings. 5 years of sacrifice erased in less than a week. But here's the part they never saw coming. While they were busy rewriting the past, I was quietly building the future. Something bigger, something untouchable, something they could never take from me. And the night they celebrated giving everything to him was the exact same night they lost it all. By the time my father finished reading the first page, his hands were shaking. Not slightly, violently. This isn't possible," he said, voice cracking as his eyes scanned line after line again. But it was, and deep down he knew it, because he had signed everything himself, every word, every clause. Every power I used was given to me by him, legally, voluntarily, irrevocably. The room had gone completely silent now. No clinking glasses, no whispers, just the sound of paper trembling in his hands. Then he read it out loud. 18 months ago, Noel Quincy, acting under valid medical and financial power of attorney, transferred controlling shares into an irrevocable trust. He stopped, looked up at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. "You did what?" I didn't move, didn't react, because this moment, I had already lived it 100 times in my head. He kept reading. 98% of all voting shares, permanently reassigned, no reversal, no amendment, no override. That's when it hit him. Not just what I did, but what it meant. Everything they had just celebrated was already gone. My mother let out a broken sound, like something inside her collapsed. My brother stepped forward, rage written all over his face. "What did you do?" he snapped. Still, I didn't answer. I didn't have to, because right on cue, phones started buzzing. One by one, around the table. Board members, relatives, my father, same notification, same message. All accounts frozen, effective immediately. No withdrawals, no transfers, no access. The trust had activated. "You locked us out," my father whispered. Not angry anymore, just empty. Across the table, one of the board members checked his phone again, then looked up slowly. "It's real," he said. "The bank confirmed it, everything's frozen." That's when panic spread, real panic, the kind you can't hide behind smiles. My brother grabbed the documents, flipping through them like he could somehow undo it by force. "We'll fight this," he said. "We'll sue, this won't hold." But even he didn't sound convinced, because deep down he knew something they all did. Irrevocable means permanent. Then came the second blow, another notification, another email, this one worse. My father opened it, read the subject line, and went pale. "The Coleman contract," he muttered, that was the deal. The one they thought would secure everything. $62 million. Gone, awarded to a new company. A company no one at that table had taken seriously. A company they didn't even know I owned. That's when it finally connected. My father looked up at me, eyes wide with disbelief. "You built another company," I held his gaze, and for the first time that night I spoke. "While you were asleep, I was working." That was it. That was the truth they never wanted to see. While I was keeping them alive, keeping their business alive, learning everything from scratch, sacrificing everything, I wasn't just surviving, I was preparing. For this. The room unraveled after that. Guests started leaving. No one said goodbye. No one made eye contact, because no one wanted to be associated with what just happened. My brother lost it completely. Shouting, breaking things, demanding answers no one could give him. My mother cried, not for me. Not for what she said, but for what she lost. And my father, he just sat there, staring at the papers, like they might change if he looked long enough. By morning, it was over. Payroll frozen, operations stopped, vendors pulling out, employees panicking. Within hours, the company I spent 5 years saving collapsed without me. And me, I walked away, no argument, no speech, no closure, just silence. Months passed. Then everything they built disappeared. The company was liquidated. The house was gone, the lawsuits failed, every single one. Because the law doesn't care about regret, only signatures, and theirs were everywhere. As for my brother, he didn't last long, and my parents, they faded into a life they never imagined. Small, quiet, forgotten. Meanwhile, I built something real, something they could never touch. A company that didn't rely on loyalty or favoritism or denial, just truth and work. People ask me sometimes if it was worth it, if I regret it. If I feel anything at all, I don't, because this was never about revenge. It was about balance. I gave everything and they gave me nothing. So I made sure nothing was exactly what they ended up with. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the loud one. It's the one who stays quiet while everyone else is busy underestimating them. And when the time comes, they don't argue, they don't beg, they don't warn you, they just finish it.